When I looked at the events that happened on this date, I saw that something incredible had happened. The sun rising in reverse, or more precisely, the sun rising from the west. You may have read or heard about this somewhere recently. This was already known now and long ago. But the only reason it's being talked about these days is a statement, an update, made by the United States National Geospatial-Intelligence Agency. The rapid shifting of magnetic poles and the possibility that they might completely reverse in the future. When this happens, the world may no longer be the same as before. Due to the Earth's geographical position, there are north and south pole points. These never change. In addition to these, there are also magnetic poles. These are always in motion, but right now they are moving faster, on average 55 kilometers per year. This is quite a lot compared to the past. The magnetic pole was first measured in 1831 on an island in Canada. When the United States military began searching for it in the late 1940s, they discovered it had moved 250 miles northwest. The magnetic poles have moved 600 miles since 1990, and today it has moved a total of 2,300 kilometers toward Russia. If you look at the picture, the point the magnetic poles reached in 100 years and the point they reached in 20 years are almost the same. This means that the magnetic poles do not always move at the same speed and along the same route. They didn't move along the same route before 1900, as they were predicted to move along different routes. This map has been created, and I've left it in the description for you to review. It has a dynamic timeline by years. You can see in detail exactly where the magnetic field was in each year. During this research I noticed that exactly in 1859, the movement of the magnetic pole stopped and suddenly reversed after that year. When I looked at the events that happened on this date, I saw that something incredible had occurred. The most powerful solar storm in history, the Carrington event. On September 1, 1859, before the event, Richard Carrington observed these sunspots that he had drawn. On the morning of September 2, the largest geomagnetic storm ever recorded occurred. It was so big that people thought it was morning because of the light that appeared. According to what was told, the miners started preparing breakfast. After this event, there were power surges in the telegraph lines, and most of the cables melted. If this event happened today, the electricity would go out all over the world, and so to speak, the world would enter a dark age for a certain period of time. It is not known whether it was due to the effect of this event that happened at that time, but right after this date, the magnetic pole changed direction and headed toward the route it is currently following. One of the experts on this subject, Alana Michel, explains. And the fact that these things are moving is important because why?
Yes. Well, they're moving because our planet is a giant magnet and it creates a magnetic field within itself. The planet's magnetic core is hot and in a molten state. So all this heat spreads out to the outside of the planet and it creates an electric field. These fields turn into metallic material, and these electric fields create magnetic fields that surround our planet.
So some of you might ask, what is a magnetic pole, or why is there a separate pole point? The thing is, not every element that makes up the universe has the same magnetization or attractive force. For example, metals like iron and nickel have a high magnetic force. In regions near the North Pole, where molten iron and nickel are concentrated at the Earth's core, a strong magnetic field is formed. The magnetic north area is also at the point where the field lines of these forces are positioned vertically. This is the electromagnetic force that turns the compass needle to the north. So when you look north with a compass, you're actually looking at the magnetic pole, not the North Pole. In fact, those magnificent lights called the northern lights or polar aurora are also emissions that occur as a result of the combination of the Earth's magnetic field and the intense rays coming from the sun. This massive, invisible magnetic field also protects the Earth from adverse space weather and radiation. Since the material that forms the magnetic field is molten, it is in motion, and that's why the Earth's magnetic poles are not fixed. They change position over time. To monitor these normal deviations, the Earth's magnetic model is updated every 5 years. This way, navigation tools are able to produce accurate data. The magnetic model was last updated in 2015, and this update was expected to be valid until 2020. However, the field moved from Canada to Siberia faster than expected. Since the accuracy threshold required for correct navigation was exceeded, the update was made earlier than planned. The updated new model will be valid until 2024, and for now, as suggested, it will not cause the sun to set in the west or major changes on Earth. This will only affect those navigating with navigation and a compass, such as ships, submarines, or aircraft near the North Pole. If you are somewhere near the North Pole, your compass will change a lot due to magnetic movement, and that's why the new update is affecting everyone nearby. But the farther you are from the North Pole, the less you are affected by this change in movement. For instance, our phone's location data. Due to the difference between the magnetic pole and the geographic pole, there will be a 2-degree shift in England, while someone in Brazil will experience a much larger change of about 20 degrees. Now let's talk about the sun rising from the west. It is said that when the magnetic poles completely reverse, the sun will rise from the west, and that this is one of the signs of the apocalypse. The Earth's magnetic poles are constantly moving, and as you know, it has been like this before as well. Experts in this field have determined that this happened again 780,000 years ago. In other words, it was completely reversed from what it is today. If the Earth's geographic poles were to switch places, north would become south, east would become west, and the sun could rise from the west. Yes, but the reversal of magnetic poles does not cause this. Moreover, as seen in history, this magnetic movement does not proceed at the same speed, and more importantly, it does not follow a straight path. So it's impossible to predict this just by looking at it now. When news like the sun rising from the west comes up, what Prophet Muhammad said 1,400 years ago comes to mind. The day of judgment will not come until the sun rises from the west. If we consider attributing these words in the Hadith to the movement of magnetic poles, then what was said should have already happened 780,000 years ago in the 1200s. Because the statement of Prophet Muhammad, the day of judgment will not come until the sun rises from the west, was said before the year 632. So that's almost 780 years earlier. The hadith about the sun rising from the west is interpreted by some as the West embracing faith, while others link it to the planet Nibiru, believed to appear every 3,600 years, and allegedly caused the event before Noah's flood. They interpret it as the strong light emitted by this planet when it passes close to the Earth, and that this planet will pass close to the Earth again. Why has the shifting of the magnetic poles accelerated in recent years? Will this event cause the sun to rise from the west in the future? And can this be associated with the end of the world? Actually, instead of thinking about these questions or worrying about them, we should focus on what's more important. Are we really prepared for the day of judgment with what we have done or what we have failed to do in this world?